thanks indeed. When you were talking about generations, I didn't know whether you were going to say I was part of the younger, the older, or the early middle age. But anyway, but many thanks. I've learned that when one, as an insurance executive from London, comes to Geneva, you always have tough acts to follow, and the Secretary General of the UN, the Mayor of Geneva, and you, Helena, on behalf of Margarethe Wallström, always provide tough acts to follow. But it's my privilege to do two things, actually. One, to wear this wonderful T-shirt, which Kiki Lawal, who organises the Private Sector Advisory Group, gave me, but also perhaps to make just a few brief observations from the private sector on the activities of the ISDR over the last 12 months or so, and also to indicate, illustrate how disaster risk reduction in general, but this particular theme of children is actually a wonderful unifying force for action. But as a member of the Private Sector Advisory Group, and actually representing 12 other organisations from across the industrial spectrum, it's a very large brand names. I won't name any of them because I won't name all of them and I'll embarrass someone. And a growing number of organisations which are signing up to the principles and to the wider group, I have been overwhelmed by the return on the investment that the ISDR has undertaken in the last 12 months. The development of this private sector initiative, I think, is seen as an exemplar, not just in the wider UN system, but in many other places too. But I've witnessed before my very eyes, over 600 cities sign up to the Safer...
871.
Sorry, I'm out of date. 871 cities. The remarkable global platform meeting that occurred a few months ago, which has really provided a springboard. So as a member of the private sector used to looking at investment and return, I must say I think you're teaching the private sector many things. Another important theme is the one that Ban Ki-moon mentioned around resilience. Resilience is becoming a pervasive theme across business, public sector and science. So somehow the pendulum from efficiency and short-term returns moves a little bit towards ensuring that there's a value to resilience. There is nowhere more so than that with respect to disaster risk reduction, but it provides a lens or a vehicle for a much wider set of issues and choices and modelling. But it's one of those issues which is about as apolitical, multi-sectoral as you can imagine. But I don't think we're probably the only private sector member of the Private Sector Advisory Group which sees what we will learn through this process as having significantly more impact than just in the very important area of disaster risk reduction, which as an insurance company, clearly that's important. But my final point is about this issue of focusing this year on children. We're involved in natural catastrophe events around the world, and quite often we're contacted by countries or cities to say, if we were to spend our investment in disaster risk reduction anywhere, where should we focus first? And we have a standard stock answer, which has, if we say simply, schools. Focus your intervention on schools. And because not only is it a most critical requirement in and of itself to create a safe environment for children, but it is a multiplying effect for a much wider set of changes within cities and indeed countries. But it is a pivotal mechanism, which leads to the second point, which it's something that unifies everyone. At Willis, we discovered that most of our charitable giving, not organised, but just as happens around the organisation, is the majority of it is for children. But then we recognise that children aren't just a vulnerable set of victims or potential victims in our society. They themselves provide a powerful transmission system for change, both in opinion and in action. And frankly, whether we've been living in Europe for the last few months or elsewhere, we have seen that within our countries just in the last few months. And I think it is a very exciting possibility that you see this campaign as multifaceted, not just as children as a vulnerable set of constituencies of our societies, but actually as a powerful medium for change. So on behalf of the Private Sector Advisory Group, I know that the last 12 months has been an exciting journey. We feel very motivated that we should play our part in the journey going forward, and this year has only highlighted what an important role we all have to make our countries and our populations at local and global scales more resilient. So Helena, thank you for the invitation.